Imagine waking up tomorrow with no alarm, no meeting, no inbox, no one waiting on you. You stretch, look around, and ask yourself one question. What do I actually want to do today? For most of us, that feels like a fantasy, a vacation, something you earn after decades of hard work. But here's what will genuinely change how you see your life. For 99% of human history, that question was just called morning. Every single day. For 300,000 years. So what happened? In 1963, anthropologist Richard Lee traveled to Botswana to study the Jew/Hoansi, one of the last groups on Earth still living the way ancient humans did before farming. He wanted to know one thing. How much time do they spend just surviving? The answer shocked the academic world. About 17 hours per week. 2.5 days. That's it. Everything else was theirs. And this wasn't a coincidence. The Hadza in Tanzania, the Aceh in Paraguay, the Martu in Western Australia. Completely different continents. Completely different environments. Same result, 15 to 20 hours a week on survival. The rest? Life. The average modern worker logs 40 to 50 hours a week. We work more than twice as hard as our ancestors, and somehow still feel like we're barely keeping up. How do we know ancient humans actually lived this way? We can't interview them, but we can do something better. We can read their bones. When archaeologists compare skeletons from hunter-gatherer populations to early farming communities, the contrast is brutal. The farmers were shorter. Their teeth were rotting from grain-heavy diets. Their spines showed arthritis from years of repetitive labor. They died younger, significantly younger. The hunter-gatherers? Taller, stronger, better teeth, less joint damage. Their skeletons don't look like people grinding themselves into the earth. They look like people who moved often, ate varied diets, and weren't crushed by relentless, repetitive work. But the most extraordinary evidence isn't in bones. It's in art. In 1994, explorers discovered Chauvet Cave in southern France. Inside, paintings created 30,000 years ago. Horses mid-gallop, lions with depth and shadow. Sophisticated, intentional, beautiful artwork. The kind that takes skill, patience, and above all, time. Someone crawled deep into a cave, lit a fire, and spent hours painting animals on a wall. Not for food, not for shelter, for beauty, for meaning, for the simple joy of making something. In Germany, researchers found a 40,000-year-old flute carved from a vulture bone. 5 finger holes perfectly spaced. Someone understood pitch and melody and spent serious time crafting it. Not for hunting, not for survival, for music. These people weren't just surviving. They were living. Then, around 10,000 years ago, something changed everything. Humans began planting seeds and keeping animals. It seemed brilliant. Control your food supply. Stop depending on luck. Populations grew. More people meant more hands. More hands meant more farming. More farming meant more people. But it was a trap. Once the population exploded past what hunting and gathering could feed, there was no going back. You were locked in. Farming had to continue, expand, intensify, forever. And farming demanded something hunting never did. Relentless, repetitive, daily labor. Plowing, planting, weeding, harvesting, storing, defending. The skeletal record doesn't lie. Early farmers worked harder, ate worse, and died younger than the people who came before them. But populations kept growing. And with larger populations came specialization, toolmakers, soldiers, priests, administrators, and eventually jobs. The radical idea that your time belongs to someone else in exchange for survival. By the time we built cities, the original human lifestyle had been buried so completely that we forgot it ever existed. Today we work 90,000 hours in a lifetime. We call the longing for leisure laziness. We call the need for connection weakness. We optimize and schedule and produce and measure our worth in output. And somewhere deep in our nervous systems, something ancient keeps whispering that this isn't right. That rest isn't something you earn. That making something beautiful is not a waste of time. Your ancestors didn't dream of retirement. They didn't work toward freedom. They woke up already free. The life you're spending 90,000 hours trying to reach, they were already living it. We didn't evolve beyond them. We just got very, very busy. So the next time you feel guilty for resting, for creating something with no practical purpose, for spending an afternoon just talking to someone you love, remember, you're not being unproductive. You're being human. The way humans were designed to be for 300,000 years, before we built a world that forgot what living was actually for.